Good evening and welcome. We are at Tiki Hut Central, the podcast, and I'm Ken Rose, your host for this evening. This is our second episode, and I'd like you to say hi to Lisa. Lisa's going to produce the show tonight. Lisa, give a big wave to everybody and say hi.
Hi.
All right. Well, first we'll mention our sponsor. Today's sponsor of the day is going to be Suds Saloon, located in the Montrose Street Market. In fact, I was out at Suds earlier today, and let me grab some of the goodies I picked up there. Picked up some Heavy Seas. This is a Fearless Bold Independent beer. They posted this on Facebook yesterday and said, get it before it runs out. So I got some Heavy Seas before it ran out. Suds has a great selection of beers, tons of draft, a lot of different styles from lagers to porters and so on. Also picked up some Cigar City Brewing. This is a nice lager. Also ice cold from Suds Saloon. For tonight's episode, we're going to bust open, what do we got here? We've got V-Twin from Motorworks Brewery out in Bradenton. This is a Vienna lager, also from Suds. We're going to give it a shot, and give me a second, and we'll see how this tastes. Let me fill Lisa's glass, too, because she's our taster.
It smells good.
I'm the
There you go.
tester.
But I'll rely on you guys.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's begin the episode.
Not too bad.
Oh, that's excellent. Lisa, camera's on you. What do you think about that beer?
It's good.
Right on.
I would drink it.
All right, cool. Sud Saloon, located at the Montrose Street Market. They're on the bottom floor. I saw Darren today. Tell Darren you saw us on Tiki Hut Central, and he'll take care of you the rest of the week. And thanks for that. Okay, tonight we've got a very special guest. We've got Mr. Michael Rose. He is a serial entrepreneur. He does a variety of different types of businesses, and we're going to get to meet him tonight. Mike, say hi to everybody.
Hello to all. First guest here I see. I feel like a little privileged.
You're very privileged. It's interesting. I've known Mike for about 50 years now. My sister and I, we were living a fantastic life, just the two of us as only children. And Michael showed up, and the rest, as they say, is history. But I think for tonight, I'd like you folks to get to know Mike, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his business. And let's start, Mike, on what was the first business you actually worked in?
Well, now you're going to date me because I have to go all the way back. Well, I worked in retail as a kid, as you know.
Correct.
I worked in retail till I was about 18 years old. And then, maybe 19. And then you and I decided to venture into a printing franchise, Minuteman Press.
I guess Mike isn't going to release some of the more secret stuff. I believe when you were, 13, we up in New York, you had to have working papers to work, and you had to be 14. So Mike got his first job at 13. What was that job, Mike?
Where did I work at 14? I think I worked at Banta's Steak and Stein.
What'd you do over there?
Yeah, in Port Jeff. I was I did their prep. I did their salad bar. I did their shrimp appetizers. I had to peel and clean and stuff 1,000+ shrimp a day, to the point that after several weekends of doing this prep, Mom and Dad would no longer pick me up because they could not handle the stench that came from the fish. So I had to either walk home, jog home, or hitchhike home. So mind you, it was 35 degrees outside and I was walking home.
And it was uphill both ways. Hey, while we're on the subject of first jobs, let's point the camera over to Lisa. Hey, Lisa, what was your first job?
Oh, gosh. I worked at a Hallmark store.
Hallmark store?
Here in Claremont with my sister.
Oh, nice. What's your sister's name?
Michelle.
Why don't you give a shout out to Michelle?
Hi, Michelle. If you're watching, you better be.
All right, here we go. All right. Getting back to starting our interview tonight. Hey, Mike, where'd you get the desire to own your own business?
I didn't quite make it through high school. I was not a fan of school. They weren't a fan of me either. So when they decided to tell me to take a hike, I realized at that moment I had to figure out what I was going to do in life to be able to take care of myself and potentially my future family. So I thought being an entrepreneur would be a great, thing for me. One, it would allow me the freedom to do what I want, grow as I wish. And, it's history now, but obviously being an entrepreneur has a lot of perks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you, what advice would you give people wanting to start their own business? What do you think they have to, what kind of tools do you think they need?
Well, I mean, for anyone that wants to start a business, you have to obviously come up with an idea first. You have to have an idea, maybe a dream, maybe a vision of something that you would like to do. You have to put that dream or vision onto paper. I mean, that's probably the first step in any startup of a business, is to get it down on paper exactly what it is you're looking to do, and how you think you're going to execute this, whatever this business plan is. So the first step is to get it down on paper and kind of create an outline, so you kind of have a good feel of the direction you're going to head into when you ultimately decide to execute the plan and start the business.
Great. That's great advice. What do you wish you had known when you started out in business? What things, could you tell somebody that maybe you didn't know when you first broke away from working for somebody? Well,
I mean, that's a tough question. What do I wish I knew in the past? I mean, I wish I knew how hard it was. It's a lot of work. You think it's easier to leave, a position of employment with an employer because you think it's gonna be all great and it's gonna be all rosy all the way down the road, but it's not. So, I wish I would have in the early stages of developing business, I wish I would have thought out the process a little bit more. Kind of wrote down, the different pitfalls potentially that could happen down the road, consequences of different decisions that you make in your business decisions to start. So, in hindsight, I wish I would have planned a little bit better. But that happens. Entrepreneurs always go through the stumbling. They have to persevere through the different adversities that they're going to come into. They're going to hit them square in the face. That's just part of being an entrepreneur and part of the process of getting through the mistakes that you will make along the way. Even today, after I just turned 50, so I've been in business myself for about 30 years. So even today, I realize the different mistakes that I've made, and I still make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from the mistakes and be able to move on and not let the mistakes bog you down and destroy that vision or dream of getting into that business.
Well, I mean, that actually brings me to my next question. In business, what was your biggest failure in business, and how did you learn from that experience?
Probably the biggest failure in business was taking business, being an entrepreneur for granted. That was probably my biggest failure. Sometimes, for me, I took a lot of it for granted, and I cut some corners along the way in different assorted businesses. I cut some corners that I wish I would have not done.
Right.
I would have taken it more seriously and thought out, the different things that were going to happen. I think that was probably my biggest failure.
Right.
And not planning and executing the way I should have.
I think that's very common. Being a business person, how has that turned you into being a better person overall?
Well, I mean, whether it's personal or professional, you're always going to hopefully evolve into a better person, a better you. You're going to take the mistakes that you make personally and professionally and hopefully refine those. And ultimately, it's going to make you into a better person. As far as making you into a better business person, I think, again, taking all of those mistakes, those experiences that have happened over the decades and being able to really, really get your mindset. I always say that when I'm consulting people, I always say, you have to have the right mindset. So moving forward now, I think my mind is set better. I'm able to calculate the different outcomes of the decisions I'm making for business. And it has helped me ultimately to execute the business plan better and to better manage the different businesses that I operate than I did before. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. As a business owner, entrepreneur, in fact, Lisa and I were going back and forth earlier how to say that word. We were going to just change it up as we went. But what do you recommend a new or even a seasoned business owner in business? What should they focus on? I mean, what do you recommend they do other than people say work on your business, not in your business? What things do you do outside of the day-to-day to operate your business? Well, I mean, you mean that I'm not doing when I'm operating the business or managing the business? Right. Well, I guess it's kind of a weird question, only because on Sunday, Mike at Bagel Brothers, who's our sponsor this evening, they did a car show, And I guess that's one of the ways that you can work on your business without actually being in business.
Yeah, I mean,
so tell me about events. For example.
Doing events outside the business is great for any business. One, it brings in new clientele to your business. It allows you to network with a new group of people. It might not have been the same group of people that were currently doing business with you. So it brings in a diverse group to your location or your business. And allows you to network to get them to do business with you, or vice versa. You'll wind up doing business with them, and they will tell others, that maybe, hey, by the way, you should go down to Bagel Brothers. They got great breakfast sandwiches. So networking is really important. So not always, if you get stuck, a lot of people get stuck inside their business.
Right.
They get stuck. Dealing micromanaging is I use that word too. A lot of people micromanage the inside of their business. On some aspects of that, it's good to micromanage, but some people get carried away and it takes away from other things they should be doing with their business. And one is doing things outside the box, doing events that you might not normally do to bring people in, or go to other events outside of your business and network with those people who are hosting events. So again, you're trying to build your tribe, so to speak, right? So, that's all part of my business model as far as embracing the client that comes in, or embracing the people I come in contact with in the community. What I'm essentially doing is building my tribe. I want a huge tribe of followers who not only want to do business with me because I think I'm a nice guy, but also because they like to do business with me. One, because they know when they get there, what kind of product or service they're going to receive.
Certainly.
And in exchange, I'm going to refer back that business to them. So I help develop their business as well.
Well, that's really good stuff. In fact, like Mike mentioned, he's got a tremendous background in marketing, and you talk about working on your business versus working in your business. I've been in my field in the printing industry for 40 years, and Mike came by the office today, and we were kind of shooting a breeze, and I was stuck in a box, and he gave me some great marketing tools that I'm going to put forth starting tomorrow. And I guess from my angle, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it or how good you're doing it. If you take advice and go with it. So that leads me into my next question. I know over the years, Mike, you've mentioned Jerry. What entrepreneur really gave you a great example, or maybe some words to live by as you've gone in this down this path to business and being very successful?
Well, I mean, Jerry Reed Sr. was a mentor of mine. So I got in business with him. And what he always told me, and he told everybody, but me specifically, he always said, embrace those that come in to do business with you. Embrace them with, whether it's if you like to hug people, you like to pat them on the back, you like to shake their hands, but embrace everybody. And if you will embrace everyone that comes in contact with you, they will want to do business with you. They will want to be friends with you. They will want to be surrounded by you and those that are around you. So, that's something that Jerry taught me, which was to embrace people and make sure that no matter what the business is, and that was one particular industry, but it doesn't matter if it was that industry, it could be any industry. It doesn't matter what the business is.
Sure.
But be personable to people, provide them with a service that is unmatched to anywhere else. Really provide people with a genuine, good personality, good service, because you want to take care of them. Make sure people know that you ultimately are there to take care of them, because not only do you want them to feel good and comfortable in your space, you want to let them know that you are appreciative of the fact that they chose to come and do business with you. So that's something that really stood out with me over the years with Jerry.
Sure. One final thing on this topic of you and business. What are the biggest advantages and disadvantages to owning your own business or being your own boss?
Well, I mean, the obvious advantage is if you're your own boss, you make up your own hours. You know that tomorrow when you wake up, you have a job because somebody above you is not firing you. But yeah, I mean, an advantage is the ability to really control your life, because that's an important aspect of being an entrepreneur, is also the ability to balance your professional life and your personal life. So sometimes we all fail at that. I failed at that many times where I put too much focus into work and neglected the personal side of things.
Certainly, sure.
So, one big advantage is the ability, it gives you the freedom to do really what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to go anywhere you want. The sky is really, is literally it's limitless.
Absolutely.
So that's the advantage. The disadvantage of being an entrepreneur
is everybody's your boss still.
Is everybody is still your boss. You're still answering to people. But no, but honestly, the real disadvantage probably is, and I just had this conversation with a cook in my store. He said, "Oh, but you're the boss." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm just the boss." He says, "You can come and go." I said, "Oh, really? I come and go. I work 7 days a week. I go to sleep at night dreaming about bagels or other things that are going on in other businesses." But the biggest disadvantage really is the ability that when you clock out at 5 o'clock, which I never clock out, but if I could clock out, I don't clock out. I'm at home. I'm cooking dinner for my girls, and maybe a phone is ringing. I'm having to answer and respond to a management issue or staffing issue. Or maybe right now I'm in the middle of building out a new store and I'm dealing with the county who doesn't want to approve my permits. So I'm dealing with that. I'm inundated with stuff. So
Certainly.
The disadvantage is that you never get to really get away from your business, where an employee, it's tough to be an employee. They all want the perks of an ownership, but when they leave at 5 o'clock, they don't ever have to worry about it. They're at home doing their thing.
Correct.
They don't have to worry about if bagels are going to be made at 6:30 in the morning. I have to worry about that. I have to worry
and
about
9 also.
When the phone rings at 4 in the morning. Well, why is the baker calling at 4 in the morning? Oh, because she's going to be 45 minutes late and she's going to push the bagels through the oven when they should have waited a little bit. So, that's a disadvantage.
Thanks, Mike. Great.
I got many more disadvantages, but those are the big ones.
Well, but before we get into the next topic, I've actually got Lisa sitting over here, and I think she's on camera there somewhere. And with Lisa, since we are live, you can either text any questions, and Lisa will relay them to us. You can even call us on our hotline. That number is 407-443-4015 with any questions that you might have. This next topic is about branding. And I asked Mike before he came on the show tonight what he'd like to discuss. And he said he wanted to talk mostly about branding. So I've come up with a list of questions that I'm going to ask him. And I'm sure our viewers will find this very informative, very valuable. Because again, Mike's business is Bagel Brothers. He's a professional. He's an expert in opening up restaurants and nightclubs and all different types of businesses. And right now, Bagel Brothers, it has taken off like wildfire, and we're going to get into branding. Does that sound good, Mike?
Yeah, branding is great, and you should definitely take advantage of the calls and messages. I mean, if you're out there and you're thinking about getting a business or you're in business for yourself, I mean, definitely take the opportunity to call in to myself or to you or message us, and maybe we can answer some questions that you've been thinking about. And I mean, now there's no better time than right now. If you're there, pick up the phone and call us.
Agreed. So let's start off with how many years, Mike, have you done branding?
So let's see. I've been in branding a business. Well, I'd like to say I've been in it since I'm in my early 20s, because when I left our business, Minuteman Press in Kissimmee, I went off to do some things. Of course, we moved cross country. That was a terrible mistake.
Sure, well.
But when I came back, I also had to figure out what to do, and I started a marketing company.
Right.
And if you remember, I did the in-room hotel guest directories.
Mm-hmm, correct.
And
correct.
it was called creative marketing. And I did the in-room guest directories where I would go to a hotel. I went to Key West. At the time, it was on Duval Street, the Holiday Inn. They wanted a hotel directory. I did a directory for them. I got to stay there for 2 weeks for free in exchange. And then I would go out into town and barter my advertisement in order to eat for the week.
Certainly.
So, that's probably when I first started, because that marketing was important. One, I had to brand myself. Two, I had to get people to know who and what I was about. And also I had to deliver a good product.
Right. Absolutely. Well, why don't you tell our viewers what branding exactly is? What is branding?
So branding can be identified as you could be your brand yourself, but particularly it's either a name that you create for a company or a product. And you hopefully, when you're branding, you don't always have to go the route of doing a federal trademark on whatever name it is you're using. Obviously, that's the ideal situation, but it doesn't matter if you're ABC Tires. You want to come up with a color, a font size, a style that this thing is going to look, whether it can be marked or not marked. It doesn't really matter because a brand could be anything. So it's an identifying mark of the business or product that you're providing to the consumer. So that's one of the most important things is branding, because you want people to be able to identify you when you're out there, whether it's Bagel Brothers, it's the color of the letters. Like, we don't use red today and blue tomorrow. I was talking with my cook at the news store. We were driving through Four Corners and we saw a red band going around this new constructed building. And I said, you know what, that's got to be Arby's. That's probably Arby's going there. And when we drove around the front, and there was a sign, coming soon, Arby's. So those are identifying marks or colors. Marks and colors are different things, but it was identifiable to the sense that I know that that's Arby's. So part of branding is making something unique to your business or yourself or product that other people will identify with. So when you're advertising in your marketplace, people eventually over time will go, oh, hey, that's ABC Tire, or hey, that's Bagel Brothers.
Sure.
Like Starbucks does with the girl, or the little smiling face of the little boy on Hungry Howie's. You don't need Hungry Howie's to see that image. You see that image, you go, oh, that's Hungry Howie's. So that is what branding is all about.
I was going to ask you, Mike, what the process is for branding, but I know that earlier this week you and I have been kicking around some branding ideas. But why don't you tell our reviewers the process of branding? What goes into that concept, the idea, and how do you bring that forward to something that you can actually utilize in business? Well,
the first thing, probably the most important thing, is to figure out, if you remember before I mentioned the business plan, putting down an outline of what you're going to do. So one is, if you're going to create a name, so we'll use, for example, if we're going to create a name, a brand, Bagel Brothers.
Especially Bagel Brothers.
Especially Bagel Brothers. But if you're going to create a brand that's going to be identifiable, what are you going to do with the brand? Are you looking to do multiple locations? Are you going to scale to the point where you might want to be a franchise? Or do you want to just be a licensor of this mark? Speaking of Bagel Brothers. So those are a couple things that are real important. Are you using it because you want a franchise, or are you going to use it to license just the name? Because those are two different things. So the process is, one, you have to come up with a name that is available. So it's important to hire a federal trademark attorney, which I have, that's on retainer at all times, which is another thing I'll get to later in our conversation. But it's important to have not only an attorney to help you check the availability of a mark so that you can do an application in order to get pending approval, and then hopefully eventually you get the approval to use the mark. So the process is to come up with a name that is unique, that others aren't using. Some parts of names you can't mark. So you can't necessarily mark bagels because bagel is generic.
Correct.
So there are parts of my overall logo, my brand, that are something that can be registered as one and related to pastries or bagel making or breakfast place, lunch place. So those are tags, so to speak. Most people know what tags are. Those are tags that are within your listing that protects Bagel Brothers from someone else using it and doing a breakfast place.
Gotcha.
Even if they used ABC, Bagel Brothers, any use of it that would be confusingly similar would be a violation and infringement of a mark. So the process is to come up with a name, search it, even do corporate searches in your area. For example, here we have Sunbiz, so you can go on Sunbiz and you can type in a name and it'll tell you if someone's using it. That's one way. But to do it nationally on a federal level, you want your attorney to do a federal search to make sure that there's no other marks out there that are conflicting with the mark that you want to offer to people. So federal attorney does everything.
How much would something like that cost?
So it can range anywhere from $3,500 to I'd say $5,000 to have it done correctly. You want to go to a reputable federal trademark attorney to have this done because this is your future. You want it to be done right. There's a journal for trademarks. So the attorney, when eventually you do your application, the application then goes to the Federal Trademark Commission. And once they do the initial approval, then it goes for publication. And then when it goes to publication, it goes out for 30 days. And it goes in a publication that every federal trademark attorney, most, subscribe to. But there are some federal trademark attorneys that don't subscribe. So the reason why they should subscribe is once the mark is done and approved and you have a federal trademark, 10 years from now, when somebody nearby decides they want to try to mark the name similar and they go and put it through the process, they're going to also have to publish their application and an image of their mark. That's important because my attorney would automatically see the journal. He gets it monthly and he looks at all of his clients to see if there's anyone trying to do anything. So he catches it. It flags him, and then automatically we can send out an objection to the application and also a cease and desist letter to the user if they're actually actively using the mark. Because you can apply to have a mark pending use or in use. So for us, we were open, so we were applying, and our mark was in use. So that's different too. So first thing are those steps: get a federal trademark attorney and get it done right the first time, so that this is something that you can use. You're going to use forever, hopefully.
Correct.
You know, I'm hoping we're in a scale mode of getting to 10 locations and potentially flip these locations to package them to a buyer. And then we will hold the licensing rights and keep the royalty revenue from those 10 and future, unless they buy the whole thing. So that's why it's important to do it right, because you want to have all of those, all of that available to you. Otherwise, there's no sense in doing it. And the last thing I'll touch on is, once you have a mark, the importance is to police a mark, because you can have a mark and not police it. So someone in Iowa starts using Bagel Brothers Cafe. Someone says, "Hey, Mike, I saw a Bagel Brothers Cafe in Iowa when I was there near the airport." And I say, "Oh, all right, that's cool." And I do nothing about it, which many do.
Right.
The importance is to, "Hey, Greg, by the way, there's a user in Iowa using Bagel Brothers Cafe." So he can immediately send a cease and desist, because if you don't, they call that naked licensing. So that's when the holder of the mark is ignoring the fact that others are infringing upon it. So then it's called naked licensing. It causes an abandonment of the mark, and then you lose your rights. So you spent all of that money, all that time building business, but you ignored people infringing on you. So you lost the right to protect the mark. So that's important.
Right.
Interesting.
Good stuff. So legal's the most important when branding. I guess the next question I can answer myself as well. Why is branding important? Because in Minuteman Press, we brand all the time. So I seem like you've got a bunch of things on our desk here that you're going to share with the viewers. And I guess all this will relate to branding.
And printing.
As well, because we always need printing for the branding. It's funny, and then before Mike jumps into this, I eat at the bagel shop all the time. I don't eat there because he's my brother. I eat there because the bagels are amazing and the sandwiches are absolutely amazing.
And they don't just have bagels there.
They don't have bagels. They'll do sandwiches as well. The cheese is always melting out of your sandwich. They do 2 fresh eggs on everything. You can get bacon, sausage, ham.
And we're doing steak now.
Steak. I saw steak. I saw steak.
Yeah.
My favorite's the eggs Benedict with the home fries.
Yeah, we hate those. That totally disrupts our kitchen, but we sell a lot of Benedicts.
I think everywhere we go, it's all about eggs Benedict, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
you have pancakes too.
I blame Lisa all the time. My cook's like, "I can't believe we have 5 of these to do." I said, "Well, it's all Lisa's problem, because she's always talking about eggs Benedict."
So that leads with eggs Benedict.
It's my fault. I had 5 of them,
Well, let's start looking at some of this merchandise, Mike. I know what I meant to say.
By the way, there's an art to poaching an egg. Not everybody can poach an egg, but there is a science to poaching a good egg.
What?
Maybe I need to learn how to do it.
I can charge you for that and teach you in your kitchen.
There you go. Everything has its price. Mike's going to talk about some of these products that he has here to show you branding. But I think it's ironic because I'm in the bagel shop a lot, and many people walk in for the first time and they look around and say, "Wow, this must be a franchise."
Happens all the time.
This must be a franchise. Yeah. And I know that it's not because they're walking into some building. I know that there are tools in place that Mike's going to discuss. So tell us about these tools.
So that's a true story. We have a lot of people that come in and ask us if we're part of a franchise. And the reason that happens is because when they show up at the curb, they're confronted with all of our signages, as on our screen right here. We're not really in front of the Bagel Brothers, but we feel
we could be if we wanted to.
We could be if we wanted to.
That's what it looks like.
But so that is part of branding. So when people come up to our store, or stores, they're going to experience that same entranceway.
Right.
And then when they enter the store, they're again hit with branding. They're hit with digital displays for menus that have our brand up there. I use the girls, my daughters, as the baker models, and people relate to the girls. Oh, I saw the girls in the ads. They're so cute. Are those the girls there? Or if mom brings them to the store, they're like, oh, that's the girls from the ads. So again, that's part of branding. So the use of a model or my daughters they're probably going to charge me now, but branding. So you walk in, there's digital screens, there's signage inside. There are our menus that Minuteman Press did.
Minuteman Press and Claremont. Remember that.
Let me tell you something. These are awesome menus, and this is a hard task to do. We probably had 15 revisions. And the hardest thing about this part is you have the menus, you have your digital menus, you have your online menus, you have your online ordering menu, and then you have the menus here.
Well, and you have your POS.
And you have your POS. So the price of the sandwich in this menu that we hand out has to match the board, because if it doesn't, there's always that, it says $3.99 up there and $5.99 here. Which is it? So that happens. So that's the hardest part is menus, as you probably experience with other restaurateurs is the fact that menus are difficult because they have to be the same. So it takes a lot of work. I have a girl that does the digital. But anyway, to get back to our story, branding inside the store.
Right.
We do hats, with the logos on it, so the staff wears them. I wear them. We do shirts. We do shirts. I do an array of shirts. We have sayings on the shirts. We have the Bagel Brothers on the back that the staff wears. So again, the key word is branding.
Wait, so what Mike is saying is every employee is a certified bagel specialist.
They are.
You can't find them anywhere else but at Bagel Brothers. So stop in. They will know every flavor. What do you have, 23 flavors of bagels, Mike?
No, we don't have 23, but we probably have like 13 or 14. I can't keep up with it.
I keep editing that menu with another one.
Yes.
Anyway,
so branding. This is all part of the branding. Every box of bagels that go out to catering or when we do marketing, which is another thing I'm sure you'll talk about. But all these labels will go on every box so that when a box is delivered to an office, what do they get hit with? Bagel Brothers, branding. Everybody that comes and gets a coffee at the store, they're hit with a branded cup. So when they leave the store, they might even take a picture, as many have, as it's sitting in their cup holder in their car. They're driving and taking photos of the Bagel brand coffee and the bagel that's melted all over their console. But so branding, they're taking this to their office. Hey, where's Bagel Brothers? That's important. A lot of people don't do that. Even these travel mugs are
wait. Now these are special travel mugs, right?
Not everybody can get these. It's like the black card for American Express. That's why they're black.
Right.
This is the black cup.
But there's a reason why you want one of these, right?
Yes. So this is our lifetime unlimited bottomless coffee membership. So this cup is branded. We have a special right now, $19.99 for this cup, which is a steal. A cup of coffee, if all those coffee drinkers that I know sells for 16 ounces, $2.45 in most places, even the most popular place. At Bagel Brothers, it's $2.45. So you do the math, $19.99, you buy this mug and you get endless or bottomless coffee for a lifetime. So every time you show up to the store with this mug, you can go hit our flavored coffees, our regular coffees, so you can fill it up and it doesn't cost you anything. So this is marketing too, because what does this do? We get a customer to buy the cup. And what does it do? It makes them come to the store every day on the way to work because they want to get their coffee. So we don't care. If they come in, hey, I'm just getting coffee, I'll see you later. All right, we throw a bagel at them on the way out the door. No, I'm just kidding. But no, the hope is that when they come in and get their free coffee, let me get one of those New York crumb cakes or let me get a bagel. And if not, that's cool too, because we don't care if they come in and buy something. But the goal is for them to use this cup to come in and buy breakfast every day.
And their coworkers see it and they're like, where is this Bagel Brothers?
Yeah, we sell a lot of these. We have a lot of members. They come in. It's cool to see our guests. I shouldn't say members because everyone is a guest of ours, whether they're in our house or at work. Every guest, we see a lot of guests bring this into the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And that's great to see because we have a lot of regulars. They love our coffee.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. Well, with all of the advantages to branding and carrying your brand through, and in fact, I see you even have your Bagel Brothers polo shirt. And
Well, so Bagel Brothers shirts, and of course website is important.
Website.
Social media is the biggest thing. Why is that important? Well, you can't leave out a website because that too is identifying to your brand, but you want to push your guests to your website because it's going to drive business, but also because we use cell phones. So this is the number one tool for marketing, whether you're doing mobile text marketing or you're doing offers on social media, which I'm sure you'll talk about.
Yep.
But that's into the marketing aspect. But everyone, it hits their phone. So you want to be able to make sure everything comes together as one giant marketing package when it comes to branding. Don't leave things out. Up for 30 cents cheaper, but I'd rather send out a cup with my name on it because that's some good marketing for an extra 30 cents.
Oh, we have somebody that says, definitely coming over for a lifetime coffee cup tomorrow and bagels.
Oh, great. They're $39.99 tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. They're $19.99.
From Sud Saloon.
oh, cool. Hey, Darren, how are you? Well, one of the other things, like Mike mentioned, and in my printing business, I do the same thing. It's something that every business should know, understand, and do regularly, and it's called residual advertising. And every printing box that I send out has our label on it because we never know if the person we're delivering it to will be in that position next time. Same thing with the Bagel Brothers Cafe. Even a cup sitting on somebody's desk, they're going to see that sandwich and they're going to know where it came from, even without asking the person that has it on their desk. So residual advertising is just as important. I know Mike puts menus out everywhere.
Is a big thing right here because I go into a lot of restaurants I like going into restaurants, one, to do business locally, but I also like to go and see what they're doing right and doing wrong. Some will hire me to do consulting and some won't. But one thing I notice in a lot of restaurants, they don't have menus. Small businesses, I'm not talking about the big franchise companies, you go in, hey, do you have a paper menu? No, we don't have any menus. That's a big problem because one, we want to give every customer who comes into our store, every guest, we want to give them a menu to take home with them because we want them to look over the menu and see items that they didn't catch on the display board, or just a reminder of, hey, we should order this, or we should order this catering breakfast pack. We put this in every box that leaves our door. So if someone orders a dozen bagels, we don't only label it with our name, we put this inside the box. You have to have menus. If you don't, you're losing that sale down the road.
I think Mike's point on menus is great because even as a Minuteman Press franchise and a printing company, we also have a menu of services so that if somebody comes in and orders a set of business cards or maybe some letterheads, I always put a menu in the box because that will list some of our other products, whether it's flyers, whether it's forms, whether it's advertising specialties like coffee cups and pens.
Exactly right.
So it's a way for us to get residual, again, that word residual business from that same client.
Yeah, hand-to-hand marketing is so key. It's so important. It's so valuable to a business that's doing it. Hand-to-hand marketing is big.
So what are the disadvantages to branding?
Well, it costs money. You have to spend a good bit of money initially. A lot of it is the initial out-of-pocket expense, like making screens for shirts or getting your logo digitized or paying for setup for mugs or getting menus done. So there's a cost involved in that. So the disadvantage is it costs a lot more money. It's not a little bit. It costs a lot of money to do this. But I think the value in it is what you get and build down the road. You're building revenue. That's always the ultimate goal in business. Everyone's always like, how do I build revenue? Well, okay, let's see where you are where are you today? What are you doing? Oh, we're not doing we don't advertise. I don't want to advertise on social media because they're not my people.
Right.
Because you just weren't
thinking.
Because
my thought was I business to business.
Right. And
then we were talking and we're like, well, but businesses are run by people. And I'm like,
business to business.
It's like a light bulb moment because again, I mean, that's part of what Mike talked about earlier. Working in my business and I'm not always working on my business. So sometimes getting that feedback from somebody else, the light bulb goes on and says, oh, damn, that's what I should be doing.
Feedback.
So feedback.
There are many, many people professionally and personally that refuse feedback. They don't want feedback. They don't want constructive.
They're experts.
Yeah, they're experts. They know everything and they don't want to hear it. You have to be willing to get feedback from others. And you also have to listen to constructive criticism. That's one thing that Jerry taught me was you have to listen to your guests and you have to listen to your employees, and you have to listen to other people, family, and that's one of the failures I had early on. I didn't want to listen to nobody.
Sure.
Because I knew everything. Let me tell you something. I didn't know everything. So, so yes, feedback's important.
So, once you've got your branding done and you've got your licensing done, you've got your gear printed up, what's the next step? How do you get some of this stuff out into people's hands? Because not everybody can come in. I know that when I'm out, I usually have a Minuteman Press shirt on wherever I go, just because people will say, "Oh, you're Ken from Minuteman Press." Now tonight we're doing Tiki Hut Central, so we've got our shirts. I've got mine. Lisa's showcasing her nice navy blue shirt. So I guess, what do you do with all this stuff once you get it done, Mike?
Well, I mean, one, coffee cups, they're going to be used when people come in and get coffee. Same thing with the turns. A lot of these we try to sell, and we sell some. People send them over to friends and, as gifts. We've had people taking pictures in Hawaii in this shirt. So, I mean, it's they'll either buy them or you give them away. A lot of times, it costs money to make. You're like, oh, I don't want to give away a $5 or $7 shirt. Well, okay, well then you're probably not really going to be doing good at marketing your business. So we give away a lot of apparel. We give away hats. When we had our car show this past weekend, we had a tremendous turnout. And part of the car show, we printed the car club on the front.
I saw that, the Wild Thunder shirts.
Wild
yeah,
Thunder
very cool.
Shirts, and then we branded it with the Bagel Brothers on the back. So we said the first 10 cars that arrive would get a free T-shirt. So we gave away 10 free T-shirts. I gave away shirts to the winners. So it's not always about selling things. That is, people get stuck there too. Well, I got to sell this. Well, no, this is just the cost of doing business.
Right.
Like
sure.
when you hand a menu, and as you know, we go through thousands.
Oh, yeah.
And
we like printing menus.
We do things on the back. We utilize the back, not with just my company. This is another company that I own, an apparel company. But even we've had Minuteman Press on the back. So the idea behind that is you can take your menu and you can partner or share marketing with other businesses in town. So if there's a restaurant in town, like Hungry Howie's is an example, my neighbor, he would take a potential back here, which we're working on. He would take a back of this, and we wouldn't mind promoting it because it has nothing to do with bagels, and he's not competing with my business. So it's called share marketing. So now if these menus cost me $400 for a box of 500, maybe now because I put someone on the back, they don't cost me anything.
Sure.
Because I'm willing to put another advertiser that's not going to compete with my business. And that's another way to network and get your brand out there. So there's many uses to this.
This is pretty funny. I think Lisa, weren't you in the shop with me the other day when somebody called on the menu?
Yes.
Oh, I was, and I
okay. So like Mike said, different companies will advertise on the back of the menus. And every time I advertise, I always get phone calls. And the other day, I think Lisa was in the office or Michael was in the office.
That morning, yeah.
And
he was there, but you told me about it.
Okay, it was something like that. So a customer calls and they want to place a bagel order, and it's the urgent care or across the street from Bagel Brothers. So she's trying to place her order for bagels. And this is where, when you have people answer the phone, they've got to be able to shake and groove with the phone call. So the customer placed the order. I said, look. You actually called Minuteman Press. We're a full service printing company. We can do business cards, forms. If you need those level 1 narcotics RX forms, we can do anything that goes on paper for you. But we don't sell bagels. Mike's number's on the front. So again, it was a mistake call, and it may be a client down the road for me. So
that's right.
when make sure your people answer phones, they always keep that same approach. So you mentioned earlier franchising your business versus licensing your business.
Correct.
So what are the primary differences between licensing your business and franchising your business, and what are the benefits to doing both of those things?
So franchising takes a lot more work. You have to go through regulations. You have to package it up so you have the ability to operate as a franchise. So if you're a franchisor, you have the ability to dictate to the franchisee what color carpet or tile they're going to use, what color digital screens they use, where they're going to buy their product. So a lot of franchises where they make good money is in commissary. Like big name companies out there, they provide the hamburgers or the fries, the product that is sold to that location. So that's big for a franchise, because a franchise can say to the franchisee, you only can buy your product from us.
Yes.
So they have a commissary. They make a lot of money there. A lot of people don't know that. They think, oh, they just make 5% of royalties a month in gross sales. Well, no, there's more to that. They make it in the commissary in the back. So not only are you making 5%, but you're making 5% plus commissary plus advertising percentage. That's what a franchise can do. If you are a licensor of a mark, which is what I do, I always go the route of that. One, because it's not as regulated. I don't really need to dictate to people what color carpet or tile they're going to use or where they're going to put their POS system. It would be nice in the grand scheme of things, probably. But for me, I don't want the hassle of that. So licensing is the way to go. So I can take my trademark and I can say, hey, if you would like to own and operate your own Bagel Brothers as a licensee or a licensed location, you can do that. And I'm not going to be here to micromanage how you're doing business, but I'm going to be here to help you. I can suggest to you the colors. I can suggest what equipment to use, what products to buy. We can still work out deals with the big food purveyors out there, so that the licensed location can still get in on a group packaged rate for their food, their produce, their meats, their frozen goods, whatever it is. So I can suggest those things to them, and then it's up to them if they want to do
Absolutely.
it. I would hope that they want to use that because they're going to get the best rate. But again, it doesn't permit me to dictate specifics. I can just do things to help them. Ultimately, my goal is to still help them because I want to drive their revenue, and I hope they listen because then that drives my royalty. But most of all, for me, licensing is the way to go, and that's what we do. That's the biggest difference. One can dictate, one can't. One can only do things to protect the mark. Like, hey, Ken, you're using this mark, but it's used improperly. You can't use that, or you changed something on here. That's wrong. And if you don't fix that, then we're going to send you a cease and desist letter, or we're going to terminate or breach of contract. And then that's bad for any franchisee or licensee, because if we terminate the agreement, you lose your phone number, you lose your URL, you lose a lot of things that started that business. It's almost like starting from zero. So
Sure.
Those are the two differences.
Excellent. Great stuff on branding. The question that I had for you was, what's the most important thing a brand owner needs to do with their mark? And I think you've hit on all of those points. So I'm just going to go on to the next question here. Have you given some thought to sharing this 20 plus years of experience with other potential business owners to give them advice and tools that they could be successful?
Yeah. So, well, a couple things. One is I obviously I own a consulting company called Rose Systems. I'm online at rose-systems.com. I've been in the consulting business for 20 years now. Well, not 20 years is a lie. Sometimes I age myself, but I've been in the consulting business of restaurants and nightclubs for probably the past 12 years. And I did it on a whim because I was bored, and I had traveled the country and learned so much about what businesses were doing, different businesses, what they did right, what they did wrong. So I decided to open a consulting company then, and I went out on I went on a gig in Reno, Nevada. Club retained me for 3 days. I did the 3 days. I made him so much money in the first 2 days just fixing a few things that he was failing at, that he booked me back for an entire year to come every 3 months, each quarter. So so that's what I've done. I do that now. I consult. People call me all the time. I have friends, people on social media, on Facebook. They'll reach out to me and ask me questions. They want to know about this or inventory, about why their sales are off, why there's no net profit. And I'll give them some tools to figure out what's going on in their restaurant or club. And with all of that I've done over the years, there is something new that I'm getting ready to start. I'm actually doing it with you. And we're going to call it the Startup Junkies.
Correct.
And the Startup Junkies is going to offer to the community. We're going to start here in Claremont. We're going to do an offer on social media. That's going to give, we're going to do a 24-seat conference room, and we're going to give the seats away for free, first come, first serve. And it is what the name is, Startup Junkies. We're going to I'm going to offer a seminar on how to start a business, like from A to Z, what it takes to start the business, from concept to business plan to setting up a corporation, setting up your QuickBooks, all the advertising, all the way through. I'm going to take people on a little journey through the process of what it is to start a business from scratch. Maybe people are in business for themselves and just want to come to listen because they want feedback. And we're going to do a Q&A session. So we're going to get ready to do that together.
Correct.
You're going to help me with that on the printing side of it. I'm sure you're going to get up and speak. But it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have 24 seats. It's limited seats only. It's for free. We're going to do maybe 3 of these, and then the 4th one, once we have it all together, we'll do for paid seats, like a $49.95 ticket. But with that $49.95, we'll provide not only a fantastic seminar with great information on owning and operating a business. You'll bring in some, you'll have input. We'll bring in some people, but we will also give the ticket holder a book filled with all of the information that they need, like a playbook on how to open any business, with all the links in a USB, with all the forms. It's something that's taken me over 15 years to develop.
Sure.
Over $100,000 in legal to get management contracts, license agreements, all the forms, manuals, employee files, all the things that you need that most people, they open a business, they don't know they need those things. So that's going to be what it's all about. And we hope to get to the 4th one where we're charging for this and giving people a wealth of information for a real fraction of what it cost me, not only in 6 figures to get there, but also 15 years of my time, hitting and traveling the road and
failures,
nights and divorce after divorce because I work so much, So no, really, it's going to be a
that's something that's something that we're competing for, the most divorces, I think.
No, I'm finished. I'm focused on work right now. I'm focused on my brand here and my other assorted businesses that I put in the mix of things.
Well, one of the things Michael mentioned real quickly, and I'm going to pan the camera over to Lisa. Mike mentioned about QuickBooks, and Lisa's getting ready to share something later on here. We're looking forward to it, but she is a QuickBooks expert. So there'll be news for that later on. So just say hi to everybody and say,
I'll put a link in the comments too.
Well, so the good thing
balance
is
your checkbook.
Balance your checkbook. A lot of people don't use books. There are a lot of people that do it on spreadsheets still. And I'm like, how are you? Do you even know what your margin is? What's your payroll? What is your payroll percentage? I have no idea do you know how much your payroll was? I have no idea. Well, what did you spend in food? I have no idea. What percentage is your food? What is your percentage of rent to gross? They have no idea. So having someone like Lisa, which you guys are going to talk about, but you know what? I didn't know that. So at Startup Junkie, she may be our very first guest to speak about accounting and the importance behind accounting, because let me tell you something.
And getting your book started from the get-go.
I'm going to end with this. The most important thing, Oprah Winfrey said this. She said, I sign every single check. Mm-hmm. She knows how much is in every bank account, and she signs every check. That's going back probably 20 years.
At least, yeah.
So from that day, there was only one time I released that, which was a little while ago, where I released someone to handle my books where I didn't sign things, and things were bad. So one thing you have to do is, 1, keep your finger on the pulse of your business, because when you stop doing that, the business runs away from you. Mm-hmm. 2, if you don't know your numbers, you have to know your numbers, your operating expenses, every bit of them. You have to know how much is in your checking account. If you don't know what is in your business account, well, then you shouldn't be in business. And that's in personal money.
Sure.
Know what's in your account. I have $10 in my savings account. What am I going to do to get to 100 today? What am I going to do to get to 500 today? I look at my account. I'm like, what am I going to do to get to the next $10,000? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my finger on the pulse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what's this? What was this? Lisa, she's cutting me off.
No.
Lisa's not going to go into any more details just yet, but I do know from talking to Lisa, she's had some horror stories about taking over people's books and dealing with years worth of things that were never posted that she then has to come in and clean up. And we'll talk about that on another show.
Yeah. We're already an hour into this.
Oh, we're an hour. Oh my goodness.
Hey, that's a very informative podcast. 1 hour.
All right. Well, you know what, Mike, I actually have 2 more questions for you. So you're going to have to think about these answers.
Well, according to Lisa, you only have like 5 minutes.
All right. 2 more questions, then we're going to wrap it up. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to save every bit of money that I had until I reached a goal. And I don't mean a $20 goal. I'm talking $50,000 to $100,000, and then figure out what to do with my money. Because at 18 years old and through, man, I waste a lot of money on things that didn't produce money. And now that's the difference. Now I'm doing differently. I'm actually investing in myself so that I can multiply passive income streams, growing my businesses and growing myself. So 18 years, if I was 18 again, I'd say save my money and figure out what I'm going to do with the money saved that's going to help multiply it to bring me more income. That's important.
Now for one more crazy question.
Oh boy.
Okay, so this is going to be a motivational type question. Maybe it's an advice question. So if you could put anything on a billboard for people to see, what would it say?
My face. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. People see enough of my face. What would it say? What, pertaining to my business or
anything in general? Is there a quote that sticks in your mind every day when you wake up? Is there something that's in your mind every day?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't struggle with the things that happened in your past because there is nothing you can do about it. The only thing, and that would be my quote, don't struggle with anything bad or good that happened in the past because there is nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is focus on today. What am I going to do when I get off this podcast? I'm going to go and finish up Lake County's damn permit stuff that they've got me spinning and losing sleep over. But seriously, I would focus on today and tomorrow. What can I do differently today and tomorrow? Forget about all the nonsense because if you sit and dwell on the past, you will sit and dwell forever.
You're absolutely right. I got to thank Mike Rose for coming in tonight and sharing with us and giving us some great information. I'm going to give a shout out to Mike again at Bagel Brothers Cafe. Where can we find you tomorrow morning for breakfast, Mike?
Man, I will be up at 4:30 in the morning, and I will be at Bagel Brothers ready to open that door at 6:30 a.m., serving hot bagels and with a smile. And our ticker at the bottom of the screen has shown Bagel Brothers website all night. And I have 10 free shirts to the first 10 that come in and say they saw us on the podcast.
Right.
10 free shirts.
There you go.
That costs money right there, but it's going to be money well spent.
Another quick shout out to Sud Saloon for providing beer tonight. We're going to bust open some more of those beers next week.
Actually, you gave a shout out to somebody who was not the right person at Sud Saloon. It's actually Sherry, the owner, that is.
Sherry. Okay. I was going by the name on the t-shirt and the beard. So
give a shout out to Sherry.
We have to go there and have a beer.
We'll have to go down to Sud Saloon. Again, they're located at the Montrose Street Market downstairs. They've got a ton of stuff on draft, and they've got cans that you can take to go with you. And again, we'll thank Minuteman Press, Tiki Hut Central. It's Ken Rose. Mike saying goodbye tonight. Goodbye. Lisa, say goodbye to everybody, and click us on out, girl.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in.